Oh, alright. Been a while since we've done one of these. Movie review, alright. Oh. Hello?
Hello? Hello? Anyone there? Yeah. Well, welcome. Yeah, so we know you're running a movie YouTube channel and you need to review movies, and, well, the Five Nights at Freddy movie came out. We really need you to do a review to it. It's been a while since you've had a review on your channel, and it would be really nice if you could have one up. So, yeah, if you could get to that. Oh, and also, keep in mind, you're running out of electricity and power, so you need to hurry up and get this done before the power cuts off. And anyways, yeah, well, good luck with that, and we'll see you later. Bye.
Well, okay, that was interesting. Power is going out, so I need to... Alright, let's just get to this. Let's go. Welcome to the Cinefanatics. My name is Robert Adams, and I am here today with a spoiler-free review for Five Nights at Freddy's. This is one that has been in the making for a while. A lot of people have been begging for a movie for this for years, over years. And what's funny is we've gotten a lot of movies that are similar of this kind of ilk, so to speak, over the past couple of years. It's like they were trying to fill in that gap that everyone was wanting, everyone had missing in their lives of a Five Nights at Freddy's film, and they were just ready for anything. So we got a couple of movies that are very similar to that, namely like, say, the Banana Splits movie or Willy's Wonderland, but they're not quite Five Nights at Freddy's. So a lot of people were still wanting like that Freddy Fazbear movie. And now we finally get it. Real quick thing of note on this, I will be doing a ranking video of all three of those movies. So I will be ranking Five Nights at Freddy's, the Banana Splits movie, and Willy's Wonderland. Keep an eye out on that on this channel. Make sure you subscribe. You will see when that drops. Anyways, give you a little bit of backstory before I actually start reviewing this movie. I really haven't played the game. I've watched a couple of people like playing the game, like Markiplier, Matt Pat. Like, I've seen videos of people playing it. I understand the concepts of it, and I know like a little bit of the lore, but not a huge amount. So as I'm like giving my opinion about this movie, please keep in mind that if you are someone who has dived a lot further into the FNAF lore than I have, just understand that there might be some things that I'm not getting, I'm not going to tackle, I'm not going to mention just because I don't know them. So that being said, what I have seen from the video game, it looks fun. It's a very simplistic video game, primarily, in my opinion, is primarily coming off of the first one. I really haven't dived into watching all the other games, all the 2, 3 sister location. There's one that's like takes place in a bedroom and not a pizza restaurant or whatever. So all that aside, based solely off of my experience watching people play the first movie, it seems like a really cool idea. It seems like a really good idea, something that would be fun, and I can already see, like, say, where Willy's Wonderland has taken inspiration from Five Nights at Freddy's for their movie. So I'm kind of eager to do a ranking video where I can compare how all of those are going to go. That being said, let me jump into this movie, and again, if you think differently or if you have other opinions, let me know down below in the chat. First of all, let's get into the good, because there's going to be a lot of bad with this movie. Just giving you a heads up, and I want to get the good out of the way. Namely that, even though, again, going back saying that I don't have much experience playing the video game or knowing a whole lot of lore, there's still little Easter eggs in this movie that even if you have only watched people play it, you'll pick up on some of these Easter eggs, cameos. There's little things in there I'm like, that was interesting, or that's funny, that's a little chuckleish. There is one cameo in particular that I really enjoyed, just because I do enjoy this person's other stuff that they do. So nice little nod to what they do in real life in this movie, and I thought that was delightful. That was just great. Absolutely enjoyed that. But otherwise, yeah, it's nice seeing like little Easter eggs, and especially if they're done right. And the ones that I caught on this, I feel like were done right. So there's definitely a good thing for that. The other good thing that I really liked about this movie is this movie nails the animatronics. Those characters all look exactly like they came out of the video game. They look perfect. Their movements, well, the way they move and interact, all seems flawless, and I love that. Also, big shout out to the fact that they were all done by the Jim Henson's Creature Shop, so that would explain why they all look good. For those of you who don't remember, Jim Henson's Creature Shop was also the ones in charge of bringing the Ninja Turtles to life back in the early 90s with the live-action Ninja Turtles movie. Some of those are effects and costumes that I would say still hold up to today. They did amazing work back then. They did amazing work on these. I think there's a really good difference between knowing whether or not it's a person in a costume, or if it's a puppet, or if it's just straight up CGI. And I think Five Nights at Freddy's did a good job of blurring the lines on all of those. I believe they use a mixture of all of them, and I think it was very well done on how they did that. When comparing it to like the Banana Splits movie, which is obviously people in costumes, you got Willy's Wonderland, which some cases it's a person in a costume, in some cases it's a puppet or a combination of both. I think Five Nights at Freddy's really nails that better than the other two. That I did believe that these were animatronic creatures that were moving around. So I absolutely love that. That was a great thing about this movie. The other thing, of course, is going back to all other little things about it. Like the sounds from the video game, they did some weird ways of incorporating some of those sounds, like the sound of the light switch being clicked or buzzed happens to be like the doorbell in this movie. It's odd, it's weird, but I love the fact that they still managed to incorporate those sounds that you're familiar with from the video game into this movie. Now let's get into the bad. Number one thing right off the bat is the story is just all over the place. Again, keep in mind from the very first video game, this is a game where you are playing as the security guard character. You're sitting down at a bunch of monitors. You are looking through the cameras. You're turning lights off and on. You're opening and closing doors. You're just trying to keep the animatronics away from you for fear that they're going to find you and stuff you forcibly into an empty animatronic suit, therefore killing you. And I don't feel like we really nailed that with this movie. Not once in this entire almost 2-hour long movie did we get just a good like couple of minutes or so of them actually doing that, of them actually showing the game, of like Mike sitting down at his desk and he is looking through all the cameras, he is turning off and on lights, he is opening and closing the doors, he is aware of the animatronics coming after him, they could potentially be killing him. None of that happens in this movie. And I don't get it, because that is the entire gameplay of the game. Why would you not incorporate that into the movie? And I do understand also, again, that with that being such a small, simplistic part of the video game, you obviously can't make the whole movie about that, and I'm not asking for that, but I would have liked to have seen at least a portion of what we see in that first video game, what made Five Nights at Freddy's popular and engaging to begin with. I would have liked to have seen that incorporated in here. Yeah, most of this movie is primarily like talking about Mike's backstory. It's like we're finding out all this stuff about Mike when we, the audience, especially if you don't know the video games, you're wanting to know the backstory on the restaurant, the Freddy Fazbear's Pizza restaurant. You want to know, why are these animatronics alive? What's going on with this? But we spend like 80% of the movie only trying to figure out the backstory on Mike. And again, not being that familiar with the lore, there wasn't like really any backstory to his character in that first video game. Maybe they expanded upon him in the later games, sure, but like coming off of that first video game, there wasn't a whole lot to him. He was Mike, he was a security guard, he's sitting down and he's trying to stay alive, and that's it. He's trying to make it to 6 a.m. That is all that we need to know about Mike. But this movie decided to let us know everything about his family. And it's really weird because I think they incorporated a lot more than need be. And I get it for storytelling purposes. I completely understand, but from translating what wasn't in the video game into the movie, I think it was a bit weird. Like him with his younger sister. Then there was this whole plot line about him trying to figure out who kidnapped his younger brother back when they were younger. And then there was also this whole like bit about like lucid dreaming and stuff. It was very strange, and I don't believe it has really anything to do with the video game. It was just added into this movie to increase some kind of a plot device other than having Mike just sit at a monitor and check through cameras the entire time. And that's where I think it kind of drops the ball on, is it feels like they wanted to make a movie and stick Five Nights at Freddy's stuff in there instead of actually making a movie about Five Nights at Freddy's and just really anchoring Five Nights at Freddy's at being the central part of this entire movie and build around it. Instead, we made Mike and his storyline the central part, and we just built around him, incorporating some of Five Nights at Freddy's. And that's where I think it's really going to detach from a lot of people who are eager for a faithful adaptation of the video game. You're not quite getting it with this. That being said, like if you're looking at like the acting for this movie, while I think some of them do a very serviceable job, there is primarily a group of characters, and it's mostly going to be the characters around like the middle of the movie that you can just tell they're just there to be body bag stuffing later on. Like the whole purpose of these characters being in this movie are to be fodder for the animatronics to kill, because the animatronics can't kill the lead guy because he's the one who's got to survive the whole thing. But we got to create other people to be killed, otherwise there's no action, there's no suspense, there's nothing scary about this movie. And these people that get put into this storyline, man, the acting just it's not quite there. I feel like they knew that they were just there just to be killed, and that was the extent of them. Then you've also got Vanessa, the cop, which she has some good moments, and she has a lot of weird moments. And I think her character is probably the one that was most misdone or misstepped in the script for this movie, in the story for this movie. There's one portion where she's befriending Mike, and she's starting to tell Mike some of the backstory of the restaurant, and then it just cuts to daytime, and they're like, well, see you tomorrow night. And we're like, so what did y'all do for the past like couple of hours? I mean, did you tell him? Why didn't the audience get to hear that? Like, why was it you would start telling the history of this restaurant, and then you just yada yada till daytime, and no one knows what exactly it was you were talking about? You were heading down the path to explain it, and you didn't. So it was a weird choice there as far as how the script was going for that. The other thing is the other major character in this, Mary Stuart Masterson. I feel like she wins the award for best impression of Susan Sarandon from the Blue Beetle movie that I've ever seen. She is a great actress, very, very well respected. And she does jack nothing in this movie. She is in there to earn a paycheck, and I feel like it's a terrible use of Mary Stuart Masterson. Like, again, great actress, but very underused and very not needed for this particular movie. The only other things that I feel like that are really bad is, obviously, there is a twist to this movie. It is kind of like a murder mystery type of setup. And the twist, even if you know the lore of the video games, this twist kind of is a twist to that lore. It's not going to be the same exact lore that you know from the video games. They do add a spin to it, but the thing is that twist, that spin, you can see coming from a mile away. We were already, I'll be honest, a lot of people were already guessing the big twist and everything to this movie when the first trailer came out. So, it's not very satisfying. You're like, yep, I figured. That's exactly what I was expecting them to do, so sure, why not? And then the biggest thing for me is, at no time in this entire movie do they play the Five Nights at Freddy's theme song, which I believe is basically an adaptation of the Toreador March, if you're not familiar with it. Yeah, It doesn't get played throughout the entirety of the movie, and that's like when I went to go like click play on Peacock watching this from home. As I'm clicking play, I'm sitting here like, I'm ready to go. Dun, 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 dun. Like, I had this song playing in my head non-stop. Every time I've been doing the reactions to the trailers, I've had this song. I think I've even talked about this song in one of the trailer reactions. This song is a big part of Five Nights at Freddy's, and it wasn't in the movie. Why? Anyways, that's really probably all of my gripes and complaints about this movie. Aside from all of that, if you were to just watch this movie blindly, you don't know anything about the video games, you don't know anything about it at all, other than you know that there's like killer animatronics in this movie, how would this movie go? You might enjoy it. There's definitely some parts in there like, when are they going to kill people? When are the animatronics going to be scary? When are they going to jump out and scare me to death? It's a PG-13 movie. They don't even have like many jump scares, which I feel like is the focal point of the entire video game, and the video game does it very well. I'm not someone who jump scares easily, but watching people play the video game, I get a little anxious, like, oh, here it comes. They're going to pop out at you any second now. And there's very little of that in this actual movie. And I was like, that's your bread and butter. That's what you are making the content for, the money on. That's where people are coming. They like those jump scares all of a sudden. And it's fun watching the people like, oh, But no, we don't get that in this movie. We get very little of anything. So, is it an interesting movie? It is. If you don't know anything about the video games at all, you might enjoy this movie. It might be a little slow in some places. It might not be quite what you're expecting if you're just going into this as an killer animatronic movie. Sure. You might be a little disappointed. It is still kind of fun. It is serviceable, like, say, for the whole family. There's really not much in the way of gore because it is PG-13. There is some bloody moments. There's a couple of iffy moments and stuff in there that might make you squirm just a little bit, but that's about it. Anyways, so if I was to rate this movie out of, I don't know, what we do, out of 10, I would probably have to give this movie like a 2. This is just, it was not as... It was not what I was wanting from a Five Nights at Freddy's movie. And if I was a person that was involved in like the script or whatever, had I had those credentials and the ability to be someone that the studios would rely on for his opinion, I would have scrapped this script and said like, nope, start over. This is just a gigantic mess. So I'm going to give it a 2 out of 10. That's my rating on this. I'm probably never going to watch this movie again. But again, like I said, I will be ranking all 3 killer animatronic movies at some point this weekend. So make sure you subscribe to the Cinefanatics to see when that drops. You'll see what my opinion is comparing Five Nights at Freddy's to Willy's Wonderland and the Banana Splits movie. So we'll see how those are. I'm anxious to rank this myself. I still haven't done it yet, so I'm really anxious to get to ranking those and see exactly what I think of all 3 movies. All 3 of them aren't the best. They have flaws, but we'll have fun with this one. So make sure you follow us. We are at The Cinefanatics on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok at The Cinefanatics. Brand new, just got on TikTok. So make sure you follow us over there. You can follow me at Robert Adams MLP on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, also youtube.com/@RobertAdamsMLP. And yeah, what did you think of the movie in this reaction or review? Let me know down below. Make sure you hit that like button. And again, subscribe so you know when that ranking comes out. Anyways, that is going to do it for this video. Very much appreciate you watching this, and we will see you in the next one. Goodbye.